Historians revealed the shocking truth behind Jesus' real name and its mysterious origins. Few knew what truly happened that night in Nazareth. A small town, cloaked in the shadows of history, where whispers carried more weight than fact. The air crackled with tension. In homes dimly lit by flickering oil lamps, secrets lay nestled in the hearts of the people. That night, a figure watched a humble carpenter named Joseph. His brow furrowed in uncertainty. He felt a tightness in his chest, a mix of fear and hope. His betrothed, Mary, was swelling with child. This child was no ordinary birth. They spoke of miracles, prophecies, and the fulfillment of ancient texts. But who truly was this Jesus? His real name shrouded in mystery. Aramaic was the common tongue, yet the name Yeshua echoed through the ages. A name that held power, meaning, and destiny. In the dusty streets of Nazareth, people exchanged bewildered glances. How could a simple boy possess such potential? Unexplained miracles danced in their minds. Was he the Messiah? Or just another commoner destined for obscurity? Every rumor felt like a thread woven into a grand tapestry of expectation. Mary's quiet confidence swirled like a storm within her. She bore a deep secret. Each flutter of her heartbeat echoed with promise and dread. The angel's message rang in her ears, "He will be called the Son of the Most High." But did anyone dare to grasp the enormity of that claim? As they gathered, tension descended. Faces drawn tight with worry, hope flickering like a candle's flame. Enough doubts to fill the air, whispers twisted like vines around their thoughts. Could he really change everything? They asked, eyes darting to the ground, brows knitted in disbelief. And yet, there was something electric in the air, a spark igniting curiosity and dread. The world outside moved, unaware. Crickets chirped, and shadows deepened. What awaited them in the light of dawn? The question hung in the air, heavy like a stone. For in this quiet moment of reflection, a prophecy was unfolding. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As dawn broke over Nazareth, the sun cast long shadows upon the earth, whispering secrets to the waking world. The town, nestled between the rolling hills, slowly stirred from its slumber. Joseph, still troubled by the weight of what lay ahead, walked to the well. Along the path, he shared the company of a few neighbors, their voices hushed, each one wary of speaking too loudly about the unthinkable. "Do you believe the child will be different?" One man inquired, his voice barely rising above the rustling leaves. "There is talk of great things, yet who can believe such a story?" Joseph paused, considering his response. Could he voice his deepest fears and wildest hopes? There is something stirring in the hearts of many. Perhaps the boy carries a light we have not yet seen. Their gazes met, hinting at a shared wonder. Was it faith or simple curiosity? They moved away from the well, and as Joseph turned to the home he had shared with Mary, a flicker of doubt clung to him. Though the angel's words resonated within him, casting shadows of possibility, he wondered how his simple life could harbor such extraordinary potential. Meanwhile, in the privacy of their home, Mary sat quietly, her hands resting on her rounded belly. The warmth of the sun kissed the window, a divine touch that seemed to awaken the very essence of hope within her. Unbeknownst to the townsfolk, she had spent many nights pondering the angel's proclamation, "He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High." The weight of such destiny felt both exhilarating and daunting. That morning, as she prepared for the gatherings in the town square, myriad thoughts fluttered through her mind like restless birds. What would the people say when they saw her? Would their curious glances turn to judgment? Yet a quiet resolve grew within her. she dared to believe. This was not just a family affair, it was a moment meant for the ages. As Mary stepped outside, she was greeted by familiar faces, yet today they seemed different. There was a hushed reverence in the air, as if the very soil vibrated with anticipation. Parents watched their children with empathy, for they too understood the gravity of a birth foretold. In the town square, others were already congregating, their discussions tinged with excitement and apprehension. Could he, indeed, be the Redeemer? An elder's voice boomed above the chatter, challenging the fears that lay beneath his words. We have long awaited a sign, have we not? And in that moment of communal anxiety and hope, Mary found inner strength. What is to come, only He knows, she thought. How could she articulate the divine mystery pulsating within her? Yet the weight of prophecy pressed against her soul, a melody she could not silence. Time passed slowly as the sun climbed higher, and the square grew fuller. Joseph stepped forward, linking his arm with Mary's, a silent pact of unity in the face of uncertainty. It was as if the currents of fate began to spiral together, drawing the townspeople close, binding them into an unspoken anticipation of change, but within the hearts of those gathered, fears brewed quietly. Would this boy be a beacon or a burden? Would he be celebrated or scorned? The questions lingered, like a mist refusing to lift. Each parent shared a glance, a fleeting thought of worry weaving through their minds. What if their faith was misplaced? In that whistle of doubt, amid a gathering that felt pivotal, the crowd looked to the horizon, half expecting the sky to crack open with celestial signs. A pregnant pause hung thick in the air. Can faith reside in uncertainty? What does it mean to give birth to possibility yet cradle the weight of doubt? As the sun flooded the square with light, so too did a deep contemplation settle in the hearts of all present. What awaited them as the day unfolded? As the day morphed into the gentle embrace of afternoon, the town square of Nazareth coursed with a palpable tension, reminiscent of a bowstring pulled taut, holding the promise of an impending release. The murmurs among the crowd thrummed like the beating of a single heart, thrumming with hope and fear in equal measure. Mary leaned closer to Joseph, the warmth of his presence providing a sense of sanctuary against the restless murmurs around them. Do you think they understand? She whispered, her voice barely escaping her lips. The weight of her question hung in the air, a fragile thing among the mounting expectations swirling around them. Perhaps not yet, Joseph replied thoughtfully. But we all long for understanding, do we not? The hunger for clarity runs deep. Indeed, his own confusion mingled with his resolve, a reflection of the journey they were about to embark on together, yet still entwined with the doubts that lingered at the edges of his mind. As the sun began to wane, casting a golden hue over their surroundings, a figure approached from the fringes of the crowd. It was Eliab, the town's youngest historian, renowned for his insatiable curiosity and vivid imagination. With the air of someone who held secrets of the past, he stepped forward, his gaze landing upon Mary and Joseph. The hum of the crowd quieted as he raised his hand, seeking their attention. Listen, dear friends. Eliab called, his voice cutting through the din like a knife. You speak of a child born of prophecy, yet what of the names that echo through our histories? It seems there is more than one way to frame the story that is about to unfold. His eyes glinted with zeal as he continued, has anyone considered the ancient names that bear wisdom yet remain obscure? In times of old, a name was not merely a label, it carried the weight of fate and purpose. Might the name of this child be a key? In the collective breath of the crowd, curiosity ignited. Joseph found himself leaning forward, drawn into Eliab's fervor. What do you mean? He asked, his voice steady yet laced with intrigue. The ancients spoke of names like Emmanuel, God with us, also of Yeshua, a name carrying both salvation and a path of reconciliation, Eliab declared, his voice reverberating among the crowd. What if names hold secrets that bridge the gap between heaven and earth? Names can bind spirits, invoke destinies. The name itself may reveal part of the mystery that surrounds this unprecedented moment. Mary's heart quickened at the implications of Eliab's words, wondering what truth lay in the shadows of that ancient wisdom. Could the child she carried bear not only the weight of prophecy but also the essence of countless echoes from the past, yet among the curious faces gathered, skepticism seemed to stir. But what of lineage? An elder interrupted, unable to fully embrace the notion. The child must align with the prophecies. What do the scriptures say? A chorus of murmurs rippled through the assembly as each person weighed Eliab's words against their understanding of prophecy, a dance between acceptance and doubt, each heartbeat a note in a symphony of uncertainty. Mary searched her soul, feeling the stirring of the divine within her, but the cacophony outside mirrored the trepidation in her heart. This child is not a riddle to be solved like the scrolls we read, Joseph spoke, conviction inching into his voice. He is life, love, and something far greater that none of us fully comprehend yet. We may not grasp all that is to come, but perhaps in faith, we can find the keys to understanding. Eliab nodded slowly as the crowd considered his proclamation. And what if the understanding lies not in unraveling the mysteries, but in embracing them? What if the name unites us in the unknown, guiding us on the path of discovery? The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of orange and violet, marking the close of day. The crowd stood in contemplation, grappling with lofty ideas and the weight of a name that had yet to be spoken over the child Mary carried that I in this moment of collective wonder and uncertainty. One question lingered in the air, a potent echo of doubt tempered by hope. How can a name bearing history, prophecy, and divine promise hold the power to unite a restless heart in the face of incomprehensible destiny? And what truths yet lay hidden within the folds of time, waiting for revelation? As evening settled upon Nazareth, the once bright sky deepened into a canvas of twinkling stars, each flicker igniting dreams and whispers of yore. The collective ponderings of the crowd lingered in the air, a blend of speculation and reverence surrounding Mary and Joseph. The gentle breeze carried the fragrance of olive trees and distant incense, reminding them of the sacred and the mundane entwined in their lives. Joseph took Mary's hand, grounding her amidst the swirling uncertainties. "What do you feel, Mary?" he asked softly, sensing the turmoil she grappled with. Her gaze drifted to the horizon, where the last remnants of sunlight surrendered to dusk. "I feel the weight of these names, Joseph," she spoke, her voice steady yet fraught with emotion. "The histories they carry churn within me." Eliab spoke of destinies woven through time, but I wonder if it's not merely about prophecy but about connection. What if this child represents not just a moment in history, but a thread binding us all closer to the divine? In that moment, Joseph recognized the depths of her insight. "You see the path through the fragility of it all," he replied. "But as much as we seek connection, we stand at the precipice of an unfathomable chasm. How can we hold a name that feels too immense for our understanding?" Before Mary could answer, the crowd's focus shifted again as Eliab, unable to contain his fervor, raised his voice once more. "Friends, consider the nature of our embrace with the divine. In our scriptures, we see names reflecting not just identity but calling, each one foreshadowing destinies. Emmanuel, Yeshua, each a proclamation of hope and possibility. If this child embodies such depths, what does it mean for us?" A young woman from the crowd stepped forward, her voice resolute. "Perhaps it means transformation. Names can alter the course of lives. Think of our ancestors, did they not rearrange their identities to fit the divine narrative? What if we, too, must reshape our understanding to cradle this mystery?" The crowd nodded, sensing the gravity of her words. Yet, an elder shook his head, doubt surfacing in his expression. "Are we to abandon what we know? Prophecy requires alignment, not reinterpretation. How can we redefine without going astray from our faith's foundation?" A tumult unfolded among the townspeople as voices rose and fell, each grappling with the dualities of tradition and revelation. Some found themselves drawn to the electrifying prospect of reimagining their beliefs, while others clung tightly to the safety of Scripture, fearing disillusionment. Amidst this exchange, Mary felt the flutter within her, a gentle reminder of the divine presence she carried. With a tender but firm voice, she raised her hand to quiet the crowd. "Friends, the questions we pose are essential, but let us not lose sight of the sacred truth nestled among our inquiries. This child, he is a gift. A promise of love and hope that transcends our understanding. Joseph felt the tenderness in her words, echoing his own burgeoning belief. Perhaps the mystery is to be explored, not solved. The divine narrative is not linear, but a tapestry richly woven with threads of faith, doubt, and revelation. We should embrace the journey, however uncertain, rather than shackling ourselves with the fear of misinterpretation. The air grew thick with contemplation as Eliab's eyes glimmered with inspiration. What if our hesitations are the very barriers keeping us from witnessing the miracle that is unfolding? Might we stand not as mere spectators but as participants in this sacred mystery? As the stars twinkled brightly overhead, illuminating the faces of those gathered, a contemplative stillness washed over them. Each heart pondered the implications woven into their identities as a community. The questions remained, but the yearning for understanding deepened, rising like incense to the heavens. That in this quiet moment, a new question lingered within the hearts of the townspeople: what transformation might await if they dared to embrace uncertainty, allowing faith to guide them where understanding could not? What pilgrimage toward the divine was unfolding in the embrace of a name yet unspoken? As the night unfolded in Nazareth, the townspeople slowly began to disperse, their minds swirling with unanswered questions and burgeoning insights. Mary and Joseph stood aside, observing the varied expressions on the faces of their neighbors as doubt wrestled with hope. The ripples of their conversations lingered in the air, intermingling with the scent of night-blooming jasmine. "Do you see, Joseph?" Mary murmured, a soft illumination in her eyes. "Their hearts are yearning, they stand on the threshold of revelation, yet the fear of what that might bring holds them back. It's as if a veil rests between their understanding and the fullness of what is to come." Joseph looked around the public square once more, noting how the stars above seemed to shimmer knowingly down at them. "And we, just as fragile as they, are part of this unfolding," he replied, his voice imbued with newfound conviction. "But what if the weight of this child's name is not only upon us but also interwoven into the lives of those around us? What if it beckons transformation not just in us, but within every heart that beats in this community?" As they continued their discourse, a shadow emerged at the edge of the square, an elderly figure, cloaked in a tattered robe. The ancient man approached slowly, his eyes pools of wisdom framed by deep creases etched into his skin. "Mary, Joseph," he spoke, his voice gravelly yet gentle, "I bring words that may settle the tumult lingering in your hearts. I am called Baruch, a keeper of lives and stories, and I have wandered these lands longer than many here can recall." Mary regarded him with curiosity, while Joseph took a step forward. "You speak of stories, Baruch. What do you know of the child we await?" Baruch surveyed the night sky briefly before leaning in closer, lowering his voice as if afraid to shatter the tranquility. "Names, dear ones, are not simply labels but conduits of power. In my years, I have witnessed the naming of many. Some brought freedom, others brought chains. The child you bear, he is both." He paused, allowing the weight of his words to settle like fresh dew on parched earth. "He carries a name that speaks of liberation, but it shrouds a mystery beyond the confines of tradition." "What do you mean?" Joseph asked, his brow furrowing. "Is his name not Yeshua, as the angel proclaimed?" The elder sighed softly, a knowing smile breaking through the lines of his face. "Yeshua, yes, but to understand the fullness of it, one must look back beyond expectations. In the ancient texts, there are whispers of a name far older, a name that serves as a bridge to realms unseen, one that reflects the intimate connection between the creation and the Creator. Therein resides the duality of the man you will nurture." Mary gasped softly. "What is this name?" Baruch's eyes sparkled with a divine light, and he leaned even closer. "To understand it, you must delve into the stories of your lineage, a name that resonates with the cries of your people in bondage, one that beckons freedom from captivity. It is linked to Emmanuel, God with us, a promise woven through every trial, every moment of despair. This child embodies a call to awaken the dreams of generations past." "Emmanuel?" Joseph echoed, his heart racing at the enormity of the notion. "But how can we reconcile that with Yeshua?" "Many paths converge in the divine narrative," Baruch replied cryptically, "and in time, what was once disparate shall harmonize. This child will reveal the depths of connection between heart and soul. You are to be the catalysts of this unfolding truth. As the elder's words lingered in the night, a question emerged from the depths of Mary's spirit. What if, in learning of this duality, we discover that it is not for us to define this child, but to allow him to redefine what it means to be human, to transcend beyond names and limitations? Joseph felt the stirring of hope blend with fear as he pondered Mary's insight. What journey awaits us as the bearers of such a profound mystery? In that stillness, the beauty and burden of their calling laid heavy in the air, awaiting the dawn of what was to be revealed. The community had taken their first steps toward understanding, but a deeper inquiry still resided within their hearts. How might they embrace the duality of this name, and in doing so, what new dimensions of faith could awaken within them all? As the stars began to dim, heralding the approach of dawn, Mary and Joseph stood entranced by the wisdom of Baruch. Though the night had revealed more than they had anticipated, an air of uncertainty still hovered around them, like mist over the hills. The elder's presence lingered in their minds, challenging their understanding of the child who would soon enter their lives. Tell us more, Baruch, Mary implored softly. How can we prepare our hearts for the purpose of this child? If he carries such profound duality, is there a role for us beyond mere guardianship? Baruch regarded her intently, sensing the yearning behind her question. Preparation comes through embracing the unknown. Each day in your life, the echoes of what was and what will be vibrate within you. This child will unveil a path where the divine meets the ordinary, revealing that every moment, mundane or sacred, has purpose. Joseph crossed his arms, his eyes scanning the faces of their neighbors, many lost in thought from the night's revelation. But what if they struggle to understand? Will they not resist what they cannot grasp? Fear is a natural companion to change, Baruch acknowledged, his voice steady. You must first embody the love and acceptance that this child represents. Your lives will become a living testament, a harmonious blend of humility and strength, that may lead others to peek through the veil. Mary's brow furrowed. But how do we break through the walls of disbelief? What if their hearts are unwilling to receive? With a gentleness that belied his age, Baruch placed a hand on her shoulder. Transformation begins within. Love, in its essence, cannot be forced, it must be invited. Each act of kindness, every shared moment of grace, builds a foundation upon which faith may flourish. As the first light of dawn brushed the horizon, illuminating the town, Joseph felt a stirring in his heart. Will this child know of his purpose from the beginning? Will he guide us on this journey? Purpose, my dear Joseph, often unfolds slowly, Baruch replied. It is revealed through experience and moments of connection. As you nurture him, you too will learn from him. Like the roots of a tree drawing sustenance from deep in the soil, so shall his wisdom nourish you in ways unimaginable. As the elder's words sank in, a sense of responsibility washed over Mary. Do you believe, Baruch, that our love can help him to unveil the truths of existence? Can we offer the world a glimpse of Emmanuel through our actions? Baruch's eyes glimmered as he nodded. It is the bond of love that transcends names and identities. In devotion, you will weave a tapestry of shared experiences, courage, and belief, that echoes the song of the ages. The child will call forth not just a new dawn but a rebirth of spirit within those willing to listen. Joseph was silent for a moment, contemplating the enormity of what was at stake. And for those who resist, what will become of them? Baruch sighed, as if carrying the weight of untold stories. Every heart must find its own rhythm. Some may choose to dwell in shadows, while others will seek the light. Your role is not to force illumination, but to shine brightly in your truth, allowing others to see their own reflections within it. As he turned to depart, the dawn fully breaking above, Baruch offered one final insight. Keep this teaching close to your heart, transformation begins with surrender. What might the world look like if we surrendered to the call of love before us? With that, he vanished into the light, leaving Mary and Joseph amidst the awakening town. Questions filled the space where certainty once resided, questions that opened new vistas of contemplation. As they contemplated their path forward, another inquiry gripped them: how might they cultivate the seeds of love within themselves, so that their hearts and the child they cherished might become catalysts for a greater awakening in their community? With the sun fully risen, Mary and Joseph found themselves standing on the threshold of their home, feeling uncertain yet resolute. The townsfolk began to emerge, stretching from a night of rest and sharing whispered conversations, still reverberating with Baruch's profound teachings. The air was thick with anticipation, as if everyone sensed a change was imminent, even if they did not yet understand it. Mary looked at Joseph, her heart beating with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "What will we tell them, Joseph? Will they understand the gravity of what lies ahead? Will they embrace the child, or will they push him away?" Joseph shrugged, his brow furrowed in thought. "Perhaps a starting point is to share who we are, to bear witness to our journey. If they see our sincerity, it may soften their hearts. They might hear our story as a prelude to the child's message." Just then, a group of women approached, their faces filled with curiosity. Among them was Miriam, the midwife, who had delivered many children in their village. "Mary, Joseph, we heard whispers of an elder last night. What news of your child? Our hearts are eager for understanding." Gathering his thoughts, Joseph stepped forward. "Baruch shared teachings that may guide us. This child, he is special, a light meant to shine. His purpose will unfold in time, revealing mysteries we cannot yet fathom." Miriam's eyes widened. "Is that so? A child of such promise? The whole town feels this stirring. What gift shall he bring?" Mary, feeling the weight of expectation, replied gently: "Love, compassion, and a call to awaken our spirits. But it is our task as his parents to embody these truths, as they are not just handed down but lived out day by day." The women exchanged glances, their skepticism mingling with hope. "And what if the world turns away? What if they cannot accept?" one of them asked. "Then we must remain steadfast, like the oak that withstands the storm," Joseph answered, his voice firm. "We govern our response, not the responses of others. Each act of love and empathy is like a seed planted, and in time, some will take root." Miriam paused, reflecting on his words. "Perhaps, but seeds require nourishment. How will we collectively cultivate a garden of faith in our community?" As the conversation deepened, Mary felt compelled to share her own fears. What if the child brings not just transformation but division? What if some reject him, and in doing so, reject us? The women nodded solemnly, understanding the heart of her concern. It was a shared fear, one that resonated deeply within them as caretakers of their families and communities. "Consider this," Baruch's words echoed in her mind. "Transformation is an invitation, not a force. Our approach will be the guide." Miriam replied thoughtfully, "Invitations take time, seeking the right moment. They also require vulnerability. If you are honest about your fears, it might allow others to feel safe in sharing theirs. You may find the very doubts you hold could unite you." As they spoke, the sun climbed higher, illuminating the paths that lay before them. Each woman thought about how often they held back truths, fearing rejection. Perhaps sharing vulnerabilities might enable others to do the same, weaving a tapestry of understanding amidst uncertainty. Mary's heart began to settle, comforted by the notion that they were not alone in this journey. "What if we hold a gathering? Invite the townsfolk to share in our story, including the fears and the hope. Could that be the beginning?" Joseph smiled, encouraged by this plan. "Yes. We'll open our home, start a dialogue, and let the child's arrival be the catalyst for connection." As they made tentative plans, Mary reflected inwardly, asking herself, will this community be ready to receive the gift of this child? Can love truly create a bridge over the divide of doubt? And so, their spirits ignited with a flicker of purpose, they believed in the possibility of awakening, although the path remained shrouded in mystery. With each step forward, they were led back to the question that continued to linger: what if the key to their journey lay not in the answers they sought, but in the very connections they forged along the way? As the day unfolded, the atmosphere in Nazareth became charged with anticipation. Mary and Joseph busied themselves preparing their home for the gathering, both nervous and hopeful about sharing their journey with the townsfolk. Mary spent a quiet moment sweeping the floor, while Joseph fashioned a simple seating arrangement with the few benches and mats they had. "Do you think they will come?" Mary asked, glancing out the door, where children played innocently in the dusty streets. "Many will come, out of curiosity," Joseph replied, "but the question lies in whether they will listen. The heart is a fickle thing, it opens slowly, if at all." As the sun traveled across the sky, people began to arrive, their faces a mixture of excitement and skepticism. Friends, neighbors, and even some who had kept their distance came to witness the potential birth of something remarkable or the seeds of controversy. Once the space settled, Joseph offered a warm welcome. "Thank you for joining us. This gathering is meant to share our hearts and our fears as we prepare for the child's arrival. Each of you is like a thread that forms the fabric of our community, and today, we wish to weave new understanding together." Mary felt her heart race as she stepped forward, gathering her courage. "When I think about this child, I am filled with both dread and hope. I worry about the weight of his purpose. Will we as a community accept him?" Her voice trembled, but she pressed on. "We are all part of this, we must walk together." The crowd stirred, some nodding in agreement, while others exchanged wary glances. A man named Eli, known for his skepticism, spoke up. "But what if you are mistaken? What if this child is not the answer we seek but merely a disruption? The elders have warned us of false prophets." A hush fell over the gathering. Mary braced herself for the wave of doubt, yet there was a flicker of understanding in Eli's eyes, a sense that perhaps he was grappling with questions of his own. "I know the fear of uncertainty," Mary responded, "but I am here to bear witness to hope as well. The story of our lives is woven from love, connection, and even from our doubts. I believe this child may help us confront our fears not individually, but as a tapestry of voices united." At that, Miriam stepped forward. "We all have our reservations, Eli included. But might we add another thread to our understanding? Acknowledge that we can both embrace hope and question it simultaneously. I see the energy of our community at this very moment, it is both fragile and rich with promise." The crowd murmured in agreement, a shared weight of uncertainty tangibly lightening. Nathan, a young farmer, then spoke up. "What if, instead of seeing this child as an outsider, we see him as a new chapter of our shared story? Perhaps in his arrival, we could discover a new understanding of faith and purpose." As sentiments swirled in the air, Mary felt the Spirit intertwining within them, drawing out the complexities of the human experience, the joy of connection contrasted by the burden of fear. "We must cultivate a space where all voices may be heard," Joseph added. "We can honor both our doubts and our dreams. If this child is to be the avenue toward transformation, we must first embrace the journey ahead together." With the warmth of these words rippling through the assembly, Mary took a deep breath. Perhaps the gathering was indeed a seed taking root in a difficult soil. Their hearts, though undone by uncertainty, were ready to absorb the light of truth. As the discussions deepened into the evening, laughter mingled with tears, the barriers began to fall. Yet, with every shared story, new questions arose, the ambience thick with reverent inquiry. What if their fears could become the soil of understanding, offering nourishment for a future unforeseen? And as the stars blinked to life in the evening sky, one question hung in the air, a beacon illuminating the path ahead: what if the true nature of the child would reveal not only the dichotomy between faith and doubt but also the profound truth that both could coexist harmoniously? As the evening deepened, the gathering in Nazareth transformed into a tapestry of voices woven with threads of hope, skepticism, confusion, and faith. Mary and Joseph looked around, their hearts buoyed by the courage of those who dared to engage openly. Every face reflected the complexities of the human spirit, and the weight of their shared questions hung in the air like a shroud, urging them to delve deeper. Miriam stood again, her brow furrowed as if she were digging within her own heart for clarity. "What do we understand about the name that this child might carry?" she asked. The question pierced through the lightness in the room, pulling attention toward a profound mystery. Names have power. They can bind or liberate, define or redefine. What story do we wish to tell through the name this child will bear? From the back, a voice piped up: Isaac, an elderly man known for his wisdom. In our tradition, names have often reflected destiny. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they all carried names that foretold their journeys. Might we ponder what this new name might indicate for us? The crowd leaned in, trepidation and excitement mingling like dusk and dawn. Mary felt a silent stirring at the mention of names. His name is said to be Jesus, she ventured softly. But it is not just what we call him that matters. It is his very essence and the path he could lead us upon. Eli's skepticism flickered back to life. But what does that name truly mean? We have heard it spoken, a common one. Can one in such humble beginnings carry a name that signals such greatness? His brow was creased in concentration, and curiosity danced in his eyes. Mary considered for a moment, feeling the swell of possibilities before her. Jesus is derived from the Hebrew name Yeshua, which means to save or to deliver. Perhaps the child's purpose is not just for himself but to guide us out of our own entanglements, our fears and doubts. This name holds a profound promise, a beckoning toward a different narrative for all of us. The room fell silent, each person grappling with the weight of her revelation, their minds stitching together the implications of what had been revealed within the name. Mary sensed an awakening, a collective epiphany brushing against their hearts. Yet with the discovery came more questions, swirling through the air like the winds of a distant storm yet to arrive. Would his arrival indeed lead us toward salvation? Nathan pondered aloud, capturing the spirit in the room. What are we to be saved from, if not our own misgivings? What does deliverance look like when we cannot even see our chains? The crowd buzzed. It was not just the name but the meaning behind it that prompted deeper reflections. The ambience transformed as conversations cascaded into the night, delicate yet charged, a symphony of hope and uncertainty. Isaac raised a weary hand, silencing the murmurs. In these questions, we find we are not so different from those who have walked before us. The ancients too grappled with destiny, uncertainty, and a name. We find ourselves caught in a community of souls yearning for answers, aren't we? His wisdom rang clear. The journey towards understanding was not solitary, it was a shared pilgrimage embarked upon by all present. The implications of the child's name lingered like the sweet scent of jasmine in the night air. It was both an invitation and a challenge, a call to ponder not just the personal transformation but that of their entire community. Mary felt the stirring within her intensify, as she remembered the angel's words, "For he will save his people." But save them from what exactly? As the stars twinkled like distant truths waiting to be unraveled, one question echoed in Mary's heart and those gathered: could this child indeed be a bridge between doubt and faith, and would they be willing to cross that bridge together, despite the shadows cast upon their path? As the dawn of a new day arrived in Nazareth, the sun's light spilled golden across the rooftops, illuminating the faces of those who had gathered in eager anticipation. Mary and Joseph stood at the entrance of their humble home, their hearts swelling with a mix of hope and anxiety. The air was electric with expectation, binding each person present with strands of desire and wonder. Gathered before them were not just friends and neighbors but the very embodiment of their community, their fears, hopes, and the longing for something greater. The previous night had set the stage for transformation, an awakening that had begun to stitch their hearts together through shared stories and open dialogue. With each passing moment, the weight of the child's coming had begun to reverberate outward, calling for readiness. "Miriam," a voice broke through the morning hush, "do you truly believe that this child will fulfill the promise woven within his name?" It was Eli, whose skepticism had been palpable the night prior. Yet, as the first rays of light danced upon him, a willingness to entertain possibility flickered in his eyes. "I believe that what we seek may not yet be revealed to us," Miriam replied, her gaze piercing yet compassionate. "Perhaps it is the journey toward understanding that we must embrace rather than seek definitive answers." Mary felt the very heartbeat of that shared sentiment echo through her, resonating with the divine whispers that had guided her thus far. Holding Joseph's hand, they stepped forward, inviting the assembled townsfolk into a sacred space of connection. "Each of you is a vital thread in this shared tapestry," Mary began, her voice steady. "Together, we are not just awaiting the birth of a child but the manifestation of a promise." As she spoke, the faces before her transformed. Doubt began to soften, revealing glimmers of curiosity and openness. "This child," she continued, "carries within him the legacy of our people, threaded through the ages. He carries a name that encapsulates a journey toward salvation, a journey I believe we will embark on together." A murmur of contemplation rippled through the crowd, sparking connections once cloaked in fear. From behind, Joseph felt the warmth of Mary's conviction strengthen him. "He is here to teach us, not just about hope but about courage, the courage to face our doubts and even our division. What if we embraced the uncertainty?" A voice asked from the back, one of the younger girls who had been silent until now. Her question hung in the air, resonating deeply with the communal pulse of the gathering. What if this child invites us to acknowledge that faith is a path we walk together, hand in hand? Mary felt the fervor of her spirit ignite within her. Yes. Faith is not the absence of doubt but the willingness to share that struggle with one another. Through this journey, we can explore, not combat, the questions that unsettle us. In the gathering's atmosphere, the crucible of community was heating, forging connections that once felt distant. "Each of us carries a piece of the story," Joseph added. "And in embracing our shared vulnerability, perhaps this child will reveal a new understanding of what it means to love and be loved." As conversation blossomed, a sense of collective integrity began to take root. The candidness within that circle allowed fear to transform into a tapestry of connection, a manifestation of the love they all craved. Mary's heart raced, recognizing the profound significance of this moment. It marked the dawn of a new understanding and the promise of change. Just then, the unmistakable sounds of a child's laughter resonated in the distance, pulling their attention toward the horizon. A group of delighted children appeared, basking in the sunlight, carefree and unburdened by the weight of their elders' apprehensions. They ran to the center of the gathering, embodying joy and innocence. "Look!" one child exclaimed, pointing skyward as the flocks of birds took flight in graceful arcs overhead. "They're celebrating." The simple, pure nature of their exuberance ignited something in the crowd, a reminder of the sacred bond of community, the inherent joy that accompanied new beginnings. Mary smiled, her heart swelling with recognition. "Yes, perhaps that is what we ought to cherish most in all our questions, the joy of shared existence and the laughter that unites us. This child will be a reminder of that joy, a light shining brightly through our darkest fears." The air shimmered with understanding. The townsfolk began to see the child not just as a future possibility but as a conduit of their own potential transformation, reflecting their hopes, doubts, and ultimately, the richness of life itself. And so, the gathering transformed into a celebration of faith, a springboard into a shared journey that transcended the weight of uncertainty. With voices united in laughter, discussions blossomed into assurance, realization woven through joyous interaction. Together, they would embrace a path fueled by love, understanding, and the innate desire to seek connection through whatever the child would bring. As Mary and Joseph stood hand in hand, looking into the eyes of their community, they recognized that the true power of the child's name lay not just in the singular identity he would carry but in the collective awakening it would inspire. Each name shared would resonate, bridging past and future, binding together the tapestry of their existence. In that moment, the crowd understood, their hearts, once burdened, were now illuminated by hope, one they would carry forward in unity, as protectors of the sacred truths shared. That which they feared would forge their way and the love they nurtured would guide them as they traversed together into the unknown. The final ripple of transformation echoed through the minds and hearts gathered as they let go of old notions that had previously held them captive. They stood ready to welcome the coming dawn, where each heartbeat would beat as one, a reflection of faith woven through the sacred journey ahead. As the sun rose higher, spreading warmth and possibility, one last thought drifted among them, lingering in the air like a sacred whisper. True faith resides not in having all the answers but in the willingness to embrace the questions together. And so, their story continued, echoing throughout time, a mosaic of love, faith, and connection that would resonate far beyond the borders of Nazareth.